Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And it's a very, very interesting news. So, on the back of yesterday, where Rusty Russell was pretty much trying to sort of pressure the British and Irish Lions into trying to agree to a second SAA game, it does sound like the SAA will be playing on Saturday, but not against the British and Irish Lions. Word on the street is nothing's been confirmed from either camps, but apparently the Blue Bulls were at the airport this morning, flying to Cape Town, where they will play against the South Africa A on Saturday to allow Rusty Russell and his squad another opportunity to try and sort of hit their straps. And I mean, I suppose it's a case of the Bulls didn't get to play the British and Irish Lions, so maybe they now get to play against the SAA and they get a bit of exposure that way, stuff like that. But I think it's quite a good idea, actually. I think that first of all, I think it's the best squad in terms of the South Africans to be able to actually front up and be able to play against the SAA side. I think my biggest frustration is that we're going to see pretty much a fringe side, South Africa A side, I reckon, in my opinion, against the Bulls. In which case, it's not. It's almost just like it's giving them a chance to play rugby as opposed to being able to expose our fringe players against the British and Irish Lions, which was hoping to be sort of for South Africa A. So we probably will see quite a bit of a second string side, a couple of players who may be sort of isolating stuff like that up this weekend against the Bulls. But I think it's a very nice idea. I think that at the end of the day, you can train as much as you want, but nothing replaces playing 80 minutes of rugby. And I think that the Bulls will provide quite a stern test because I think that they're a side who, whilst they struggled against Benetton, without their Springboks, have welcomed a couple of players back, and they actually haven't been able to play since pretty much just that final. Well, they came back and they played that World Cup game against the Pumas, but their game against Cheetahs was called off. Then they couldn't play against the British and Irish Lions because of the COVID case and stuff like that. They were scheduled to play against the Griquas on Saturday. So that obviously will look like that'll be either forfeited or they will be moved and stuff like that. We still have got no confirmation on what that's actually going to happen in terms of the points from the Lions versus the Sharks game that was supposed to happen over this weekend. So we're not quite sure what's going to happen in terms of scheduling. But it would be quite interesting. And I think the main thing is it'll just for Rassie Erasmus and his staff. I mean, we don't know if it's going to be televised, where it will be, what the story will be, and stuff like that. It's all very sort of under wraps at the moment. There's been no official confirmation that this is even going ahead. But this is what sort of the rumors are. A lot of people are reporting that apparently it's going to happen. We wait on final confirmation, and as soon as there is confirmation, you will not be the first to know about it. But I think it's a good idea. I think that if there's going to be one sort of team that can provide a test, I think it's the Bulls. And if there's one thing that we really know that we needed another 18 minutes to have these players be able to run out and be able to gel together. And what I was saying yesterday is my concern is with them not being able to play certain fringe players tomorrow. Is if a couple of injuries creep in the first test, for example, or even tomorrow, suddenly fringe players, your Yal Penk players, your Roscoe Speckmans, I played a Fassi managed to play against Georgia, so did Speckman, but Yal Penk player, I want to see a Similani, those players who are uncapped, who've never sort of featured for the box, they will have no chance to try and sort of have a go. And I mean, ideally, you don't really want to be making your first appearance in a Springbok shirt against the British and Irish Lions. Obviously, it's happened before. We've had Davies before, and that if that's the case, albeit. But it's you want to try and avoid as much as possible, just so that they've played with these people in and around them before, and that they're comfortable within the setup going into the thing. And I think in the usual sort of tour, I think that is not really that much of an issue. And I think if we had a full season of normal rugby and we'd had internationals and we've had an unaffected last sort of 18 months, I think it's very different to go from that scenario to then making your debut for the British and Irish Lions. But the end of the day, that's not the case. The Springboks have only played one game. Even our local players have only been playing against each other this last couple of months. So it's a very different sort of environment. They might not be up to standard. They're not used to this sort of standard or playing against people with different tactics and stuff like that. They've been playing against the same people for the last sort of 8-9 months because most of the uncapped players are South Africa based. Apart from your Joseph Dwevers and your Nicholas Jans van Rensburg, for example. So I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's something you said on the channel the other day. Something's better than nothing. And I think that's exactly the same as the British and Irish Lions versus the Sharks. Is it what we want to see? Probably not. Is it better than nothing? Definitely. So it would be a nice opportunity to see some fringe players playing for the South Africa A. It would be nice to see the Bulls playing against a nice big side again. And I'm really hoping that it gives like Marcel Coetzee, for example, a chance to try and put his hand up. Goosen is back in the side. Jacques Duplessis. Could we see Ruan Combring back involved? Lionel Poo. These are players who have got Springbok experience that could suddenly be featuring for the Bulls. Cornel Hendricks, for example, can he have a run out against Damien Willemse at inside centre and say I actually should be in that squad? So I mean, it would be quite a cool match. It's obviously not ideal, but I think that from my side, in my opinion, I think I'm glad that they're not going to sacrifice that Stormers game because I think it would have been very, very harsh on the Stormers who have done nothing wrong, who have gone through all the processes and stuff like that to make sure that they're ready to play the British and Irish Lions, rotated players and stuff like that, and then they don't get to. So I think that, from my opinion, I think it's a much better idea. I think it's obviously not an ideal situation, but also because of COVID, we can't really have, for example, a combined team. You can't exactly say, right, well, can we fly in, maybe the bulk of the Bull squad, but then can we add, a couple of players from the Cheetahs? Can we add Villiers Engelbrecht from the Pumas? Can we add, a couple of players from the Lions? Can we add a couple of players from the Sharks and do an invitational side for this weekend for the national cause? We can't do that because of bioavailable and stuff like that. It is quite funny, though, that Rassie Erasmus was saying that, it was a safety point of view that they wanted to have an SAA game against the British and Irish Lions this weekend so that, there aren't any other external teams, and that's not happening. And as a result, we're going to fly in the team which just has so many COVID issues to now play against the Springboks, an external team. So I did say at the time, I think that's probably a little bit of a sort of an easy excuse or to try and sort of motivate. I think the main reason that they want to play against somebody really good and basically have, a second test in many ways. I think tomorrow would have been tomorrow's a mini test. I think Saturday would have been more of a genuine SAA side if that match had gone ahead. I think we would have seen a lot more fringe players. We would have seen like a Nicholas Dunstan from Rensburg start, a Marvin Ori, a Dupree brothers playing, a Similani's, your Apollo Fassi's, your Roscoe Speckmans. I think they probably would have played more on Saturday if we had gotten that second SAA game, which tomorrow is pretty much a mini test match. There's a lot of World Cup winners in the starting lineup. I think the only players in the back line who wouldn't start in the normal test side is Mornay Steyn and Spirin Corsi. But Spirin Corsi, you're not going to sit there and think that he's not really a test player, So, but it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see what happens. I hope that does happen, because I think it'll be really good to see that the Springboks get some more preparation. As much preparation as they can possibly get is the main thing. If it is broadcast, we'll cover it. If it's not, we'll do our best to cover it anyway. So smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We've got an official preview coming up for SAA versus Lions tomorrow. We've got the press conferences from the Kanyo as well as Ken Owens. And some of the Lions coaching staff, and Dindy Stick was in the press conference with Kanye as well. And then tonight we will be live for an official fan forum preview of the game tomorrow. So you can come and join us at 7:30 South African time. We will be live. Come and ask the panel questions, get involved in that discussion. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you guys soon.